I've been real quiet lately, not because I had nothing to say, but something in me shifted, and I needed space to change. Things don't feel the same anymore, and I stopped trying to force them to. What once felt like home to me don't fit the way it used to, and I'm starting to see it clearly. I'm not losing anything. I'm not who I used to be, and I'm finally okay with that. What felt like
Hi, and welcome to The Living Spark. If you're new here, I am Alicia Dion. And if you've been here before, thank you for finding your way back to me. It's been a while, and honestly, I went back and forth about making this video. I know that is a famous line of all YouTubers or those who make content. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I wanted to make sure that when I returned honestly, not just visibly. There's something that I want to say before we move forward. I know I've been gone for a while, and I know on the internet, people expect consistency, explanations, updates. But the truth is, sometimes life pulls you inward. Sometimes you're healing, sometimes you're exhausted, sometimes you're trying to figure out who you are outside of survival mode. And sometimes you simply don't have the energy to turn real emotions into consumable moments. Shoot. Yeah, to be completely transparent, there were times here when I barely had the energy for anything. Like, no matter what I did, how hard I tried, how how much effort I put forward, I just couldn't get where I was going. And y'all know that I have other struggles, you know, struggles with my health, struggles with ADHD. If I've never told you guys, I have ADHD, and I decided not to continue with that medication. And I've been learning how to manage these things more so myself without the medicines. And sometimes that looks like me being able to get on camera and speak and articulate my thoughts. Other times it is me reaching for the computer or a piece of paper to write down what I'm thinking. And by the time the computer comes up or I open the notebook, the thought is completely gone. How do you record what you can't remember? Because that's how fleeting those moments were. And that alone is frustrating. I wish I could say that my absence was all fun and games. But the way Blended calls it is the dark night of the soul. Basically, I was in some intense shadow work. Um, I was fighting for me. I was losing in life as I was fighting to exist, fighting to be, fighting to just not just understood, just I was just fighting. And it was coming down to a point where I was about to spiral completely out of control. I was, you know how some people say they don't have all their marbles? Well, it felt like watching all my marbles leave me. And then looking down and seeing that I only had a few marbles. And it's like, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Girl, you got to pull this together because this is not cute. And as spiritualists, it's you would think that I would know that things had gotten that far out of control for me. But in actuality, I put everything and everyone before me. To me, that is what you do when you love someone or something. You commit yourself to it. And because that's the way it works for me, that's what I was doing. So as I'm going through and I'm neglecting myself and I'm taking care of everybody else, I stopped and realized, whoa, wait a minute. There is nobody giving me back what I am putting in. And it's not that I expected them to do the exact same for me. I expected them to be like, hey, this is what you're doing. This is where you're going. You're going to crash. You got to get this under control. That's what I expected. Um, but being a mom, that doesn't happen because you don't let your kids see these sides of you. And I have a sister who does really good with, making sure that like if she sees me spiraling too far, she'll usually rope me in. But my gosh, I feel like I'm rambling and I apologize. I apologize, but this is just I needed to take care of me on so many levels. And it's not that I wasn't listening to spirit. It's not that I wasn't tuned in with the most high. It was okay. Okay, God, I hear you. Okay, God, I see it. But how do you expect me to get from here to there? And as I'm trying to figure out getting from here to there, it's well, this is too complicated. I can't do that right now. This is where anxiety comes in. Anxiety comes in like, nope, nope, no decisions. Nope, nope. Don't require me to think. Nope, nope, nope. I'm at maximum capacity. I had days where I wasn't able to motivate myself. So how could I motivate someone else? I wasn't even burnt out. It's just that things didn't feel right anymore. And everything in my life, this happened to I understand it now. I understand why it's happening now. But at the time, I didn't see it. Did I know God said something and I knew I had to make some decisions? Of course. But did I think I had more time? Of course. But I really didn't have any more time. You know, I had to deal with these things right now. So I found myself doing a deep internal dive. And there were things that I had been dealing with. I, um, as far as looking for or having a significant other. And so, yeah, you've probably heard me say I was over that. I didn't want any other relationships. I had no desire to be in a relationship. And then I was shown something, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I I do kind of want that. I just don't want it like it was like this." So I had to acknowledge that there were things that I wanted. And in order for me to have those things, I had to make decisions and stand 10 toes down on those decisions. Some of those decisions was more easier to attain than others. Some of them I have been fighting for a long time. But, not to overload or to overshare. I just I went through a moment where I didn't recognize myself. I would look in the mirror and nothing about me reflected me. I took a picture and I was like, who is this person in this picture? Because clearly that's me. That's my hair because I colored it. I put the beads in it for the sprinkles in my hair. So I could see the picture, but I couldn't recognize me. And I would look at this picture and I would be like, who is this? Like, is this an ancestor? Is this like what's happening with me? Like, what's going on? And I had to realize that spiritually I was growing. I had went through a change. I was forced to change faster than I wanted to because tell God your plans and you know he'll laugh. So I've been battling my health, physical and mental. I've been battling what keeps me secure as a single mother. I've been battling maintaining everything that I've to this point worked to have. And it may not be a lot to someone, but to me, I've worked for it. I've maintained it and kept it to this point. And it felt like I was losing everything. Everybody was against me, and I was destined to fail. And that caused me to go internally even deeper. It's too much to talk about all at one time, especially coming back. The Daily Spark is now turning into the Living Spark. Well, let me not say that because there may be times where the Daily Spark may become relevant again. It just all depends on what Spirit says. But all in all, I think that's the part people don't talk about enough. Sometimes survival doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like disappearing quietly just to hear yourself think again. I want to set some expectations going forward. I felt guilty for disappearing. Like I owed productivity, I owed communicating my story during moments I was barely holding myself together emotionally because someone else needed to hear that message too. Somebody else is going through this as well. But at the time, it wasn't anything that spirit would allow me to talk about. Spirit wouldn't even allow me to speak on it negatively because this is a part of the journey. This is a part of soul work. But I'm learning now. Rest is not failure. Silence is not abandonment. And taking care of yourself should not require permission. So, moving forward, I don't want this space to be built on pressure. I don't want to force uploads just because I committed to doing the daily spark. And every day I wanted there to be a message to come out. I wanted to encourage and motivate. But not while my spirit feels disconnected from what I'm saying. I want this space to be real for me and you. Grounded, human, a place where conversations actually mean something. That even if you have a difference of opinions, you can show compassion and understanding for the next person. The living spark is still going to be motivational, but not motivational in the way where I'm here every day saying, oh, this is not a lecture. I'm not preaching at you. This is just something you can help grow from. The content may come much slower. I won't be recording every day. Um, I've actually gone back into a brick and mortar working. I used to work from home, but I am now at a brick and mortar, and that takes a lot of my time. And it's not going to be feasible for me to promise a recording when I have other responsibilities when I get off work. Now, I will say that I am not striving for perfection. This is still a journey that I am going through. I am still sharing my story, but I'm not going to wait until the moment is perfect or wait until the perfect storm has happened in my life for me to get things situated. There will still be emotional honesty. I will still tell you to allow yourself grace. And I am going to make sure that I continue to create content that matters to me, that I know is a part of my mission in this life. I'm not at all, again, I'm not at all trying to be perfect, the perfect person. I'm not trying to have the perfect platform. I'm interested in building something honest enough to help people feel less alone. You know, one thing life taught me during my silence is that people will often celebrate your availability more than your well being. And that realization changes you. There were moments where I kept showing up emotionally drained because I thought consistency meant never stopping. But constantly abandoning yourself to meet expectations and, and stretching yourself thin has a cost, and a very heavy one. So I already mentioned anxiety, heavy, you know. Um, it was just a lot. A lot of me trying to pour into others while I was empty. And this is just a me thing. I don't talk a lot about things that I'm going through when I'm going through them, because I'm not allowed. Spirit doesn't allow it. So yeah. So I'm looking to redefine what is success for me. I am learning new boundaries for myself. I'm learning who I am, reconnecting with my teenage self. And I am still doing soul work. I'm going to continue to always do soul work because if I feel it come up in me, I'm going to address it within me and work for better. And eventually, your spirit starts asking questions. Spirit will be like, what about me? What about my peace? What about my healing? And honestly, this lesson didn't just affect content creation. It affects relationships too. Because when you're emotionally exhausted, you start realizing how many connections were built around access instead of understanding. Trust issues will make you search for evidence, even when your spirit is begging for peace. And sometimes, when people go looking through phones, messages, and other hidden spaces, they are truly searching for the truth. They're searching for reassurance. But reassurance built on fear will never calm the soul for long. At the end of the day, peace built on honesty will always last longer than peace built on surveillance. I think a lot of people right now are grieving versions of themselves quietly. The versions that tolerated too much, the version that stayed too available, the version that kept shrinking just to keep relationships, opportunities, or expectations comfortable. And maybe this season isn't asking us to become louder. Maybe it's asking us to become more honest, more intentional, more protective of our energy. I appreciate each of you for your support. I hope that you will enjoy the new format and the deeper conversations. I hope that I can also help you in rediscovering yourself creatively and spiritually. And hopefully, you'll feel comfortable enough to share what healing has taught you. Take your time here. So, I do just want to reiterate here that I'm not setting the expectation at this current time for me to be on every day at 8 o'clock in the morning. Um, there's going to be some times where I am going to do a later show. I am still working out the logistics of everything. I am still finishing up on some ideas that I had turned into segments for the shows. And I'm saying a lot. I apologize. We are going to take this slowly. I'm not going to dive headfirst back into this thing. I am going to focus on the content being worth your time. I don't want to post a video and then feel like it was a complete waste of your time. I value your time. I value your energy, and I appreciate it for you coming and being here with me. So for now, I don't have a set schedule, but I am going to work something out so you'll know what days that I'll be consistently posting. Um, Please feel free to check the wall. I am also on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. You guys can reach out to me in any of those places. Um, and just reach out, holla at your girl. You feel me? All right. If you're rebuilding yourself right now, quietly, slowly, beautifully, I hope you know healing does not become less real just because nobody clapped while it was happening. This has been the living spark. And wherever life has carried you lately, I am grateful our paths crossed again. Thank you for letting me shine. Ashe. Be safe on your way home.